little lawsuit in South Carolina that I did not know anything about until last night when Matty Allen and the boys Brizology. I know you've been in the chat tonight. You were on that stream last night too. But Johnny Chaos was on there for a bit, Crispy Man and Toby Wan. But yeah, Matty Allen talking about this frivolous lawsuit from a kid that, and I'm not going to get into same thing. And I kudos to you, Briz, if you're still watching, and you guys that were on the stream last night. You guys specifically said, like, don't go out to try to dox this guy. Don't go out and try to ruin his life or all this stuff, which unfortunately some people did do. I saw, which really sucks. But when you fight back that way to somebody who's fighting you, like the way that they are undercutting you and fighting in this manner, like it doesn't help matters to just match it that way. But anyway, aside from that, so this lawsuit out of South Carolina, this kid basically, this is public knowledge basically, but he lost like $400 investing in Hex, and is trying to actually file like a class action lawsuit in response to this. And again, anybody can sue anybody. It doesn't really matter. You can claim anything and sue somebody. It doesn't. You can do whatever you want to do. So, kid hires an attorney, and whoever that attorney is, like, makes that lawsuit. And apparently, this coming Tuesday, so like 6 days from today, is an important date in that case. I don't even remember what exactly it is. I think it, like, a judgment could be entered or whatever. And I don't even remember everything that the kid is alleging, but basically that it's security and stuff like that. But again, this is on the state level. It's not federal. It's not the SEC. But to kind of give some outline here, in case this is news to anybody, I would encourage you to, in addition to us, watch that Matty Allen stream from last night, because those guys covered it really, really well. If something would happen in this little wee lawsuit in South Carolina, that would definitely not deem anything a security or the call Hex a security or anything. Right. All it would do is give the SEC a little wee bit of ammo to say, like, oh, well, this judge potentially in South Carolina deemed it to be a security because the lawsuit by this kid went unopposed. So we've got that little feather in our cap. That's basically what it would be. That doesn't even necessarily mean that the judge in the actual case would err on that side of it or anything. And I'm sure RH's attorneys are well aware of this and have plans about that anyway. But again, Matty's stream last night was centered around getting a large amicus brief to be filed by an attorney that he's already contacted and is willing to do this work apparently in South Carolina. I'm not here to talk about, like, let's shit on Matty for, trying to get money from Wales and Hex to pay for this or anything. I'm not really interested in that. I'm behind this effort, and I think it's fine. I've talked a lot, but let's get your thought on what this is, Ewok. Because again, I didn't even know about this. You probably just found out about it as well. I don't recall this. It was filed in 2022. But what do you make of this? The Matty Allen, looking to get, because right now the reason that Matty's doing this is because there is no opposition to this kid's lawsuit. So right. I don't know. We'll look at Nuclear Herbs reply to that as well to color in the pages a little bit. But yeah, what do you make of this thing?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is the default has been entered against him after the court somehow authorized service by telegram message, tweet, email, and some other way of contacting him. Right. He never even acknowledged it, replied, nothing. So did he see it? Well, we don't know. So how do you? That's my biggest question: is how do you hold somebody in contempt if you didn't properly serve them? With the SEC, he did acknowledge it. He did get a team of lawyers. He did appear when they were supposed to, things like that. But what if he really didn't? Like, how does this even exist? That's my first question. If you don't serve somebody properly, you can't bring them to court. You can't expect them to be there. I don't understand how this is even allowed to continue. Now, again, this is a state thing. My original thought when I saw all this is, why aren't we paying Nuclear Herbs to write us some sort of amicus brief?
I think he's not down there.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to be from South Carolina.
Well, true, I guess.
He's a lawyer. Lawyers can operate in any state they want. I think I would rather see him get even if it's half off, he could probably take the time to write it for $50,000. I would rather see somebody like him and his knowledge and thoughtfulness who knows about it write this rather than some half-assed lawyer in South Carolina just because they're there. That
I
was
don't think that's
my
what.
original thought.
Okay, I don't think that's what's going to happen. Like, to my knowledge, and what Maddie said, and I think he is correct. You do need a South Carolina attorney to file this. So I don't think the intention is necessarily. Well, maybe it is for that guy in South Carolina to write it all. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's like,
it
hey,
is.
look at the one. Well, what? Like, he's not allowed to look at the one that was filed for in the SEC case. Like, I'm sure he's going to have resources.
Well,
I'm sure it's not going to be
sure.
like, hey, figure this out, dude. We don't know. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure,
I
sure.
just think he has to file it. That's all.
He can use that one as as a basis to probably start with, and who knows, he may just submit that and under his name. The problem is, I think, the cost, and you
Mhm.
know, again, the problem is when this was brought up as well, is when you ask somebody that something needs to be filed by Tuesday, that means they have to drop what they're doing and put their other cases on hold,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be expensive, right? You're taking their time that away from other things. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I feel that if Richard did know about it, he would have had somebody from his team address it, or at least request a continuance on it until after this
Yeah.
case started or whatever. He's already paying them. I don't understand why. Man, maybe none of them are from South Carolina. He didn't want to add anybody else. Who knows? There's a lot of things that could be why did this happen, or whatever. But it I don't know. I don't see much coming of it. I really don't. This guy bought the top, probably sold the bottom. He didn't lose that much money.
Right.
And Nuclear Herbs even says, he says SEC Rule 5 and some South Carolina securities laws that he's never even heard of would be on the table. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it seems like some two-bit lawyer is just trying to get a class action lawsuit, to see what they can get out of this. And I don't know if you just let it go. What does it really mean? Because once the federal thing is settled, then that probably causes precedent of that one to be thrown out, um, or give it some merit if we were to go that route. I honestly think this is a waste of time because you
So
know,
you and Briz, this is kind of what Briz was saying on the show last night. I saw. You think it's a
yeah.
waste of time to even take it on in any fashion?
Oh well, I mean, I think you get someone to go in there and say, there's a current case right now. We need to push this date out, to see what happens with it, and that's it. Um,
I
that's
don't think anybody's going to do that. I don't know that that's. I mean, because at that point you're talking about employing an attorney, basically. Which let me just real quick. I want to read this part from Nuclear Herbs on this little case because I
Go
think
ahead.
that this gives some good detail. He said Richard has not appeared in the case. Default has been entered against him after the court somehow authorized service by telegram message, like you said, which that just does not add up at all to me.
Right.
Tweet, email, and some other dumb stuff. Since I've never talked to Richard, I have no idea why he didn't respond, but I can guess that if you had to pick one of the two cases to defend, it would be the one filed by the SEC and not some hot dog vendor in a Lowe's parking lot. It's conceivable that appearing there also, and this is what I was thinking, it's conceivable that appearing there might also create issues with RH's personal jurisdiction argument in New York, but you'd have to ask his legal team about that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're aware of this. Like, there's no way his current attorneys are not aware of this. And if that could put him in more, not danger, obviously. If that could put any more danger into the SEC case, then why even acknowledge that one? You know what I
Right.
mean? But he did say there is a real danger in having that court issue a declaratory judgment that it hexes the security because if you've been to Pulse Chain Law School, you know that nothing this South Carolina judge is binding in the New York case, but we know that the SEC has conveniently left out important facts in recent cases, So do we trust the SEC to be honest this time around? Definitely not. There's a hearing approaching fast to whether to certify the case as a class action. Since there is no opposition to that motion, it will very well may be granted. The danger is that the court also considers the issue of whether Hex is a security, which again at this point is uncontested by anyone. And that's why Maddie's wanting this amicus brief to be put in anyway. So,
Sure.
I mean, I think that I see no issue with Maddie trying to coordinate this. He also is asking for whales to do it. If
Sure.
they come up with the money, okay. Yeah, that amount of money seems kind of asinine, I would say. But again, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, like if they're this South Carolina guy and you're just like, hey, you've got a week to figure this out, and we need you to do this. And, he has other plans. He's not even trying to deal with this thing. So, I agree with what Maddie said last night. I mean, I think it's pretty much only upside, I think that this is good that he's coordinating this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know people have gotten upset with Maddie about like, oh, this Maddie token and stuff like that. I don't look at this as some kind of like.
This has nothing to do with Maddie token at all.
No, it doesn't at all. But I mean, people are linking it like, oh, there's Maddie asking for money again.
Right.
I'm just saying what other people are saying. To me, I'm fully behind this effort, and I think that I would put time into this to at least have something there that Richard's not even in control of. Like, and I think he may be acknowledging that here tonight. I'm not sure,
right.
But
so
yeah,
let's go to that. Let's go to that tweet.
Yeah, as you guys were mentioning in the chat, RH tweeting a bit here. Yeah, and Briz,
yeah,
I think one of them.
And so Richard just said some people matter a lot more than others. There's guys out there that take personal risk in order to make the world a better place. They put their face and their name on things. Some hexicans really keep their eye on the ball, throw conferences, stream all the time, sue evil. And then he says, shout out to the unsung heroes. So that's definitely, a shout out to Maddie, even if it was just throw conferences. But this is a very nice compliment to what he's doing. Obviously I can't donate to it. I don't, everybody's at the bottom right now. I could throw $100, $200 in probably and not really worry, but it wouldn't be more than that. And I don't know how far that would go.
Right.
But I agree. I don't disagree with what Maddie's doing. I just think it's a lot of money. And to what end, so yeah, I get it. Yeah. This has, and to the people out there that are like, oh, Maddie's scamming money or whatever. I've never believed that Maddie has taken a dime from anybody in bad terms. I know even when he was doing the conferences, he was figuring out how much it cost him. That's exactly how much that he wanted to raise. And if he did have extra, he gave people extra stuff in their goodie bag kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So he made sure people got the value of what he raised back, and didn't make anything on it himself. So yeah, again, shout out to him. He goes over and above all the time. So I don't think there's anything malicious about what he's doing at all.
I agree. It definitely seems expensive. But we're not really the ones paying it. So, and again, Maddie's just asking for whales to do it. I mean, they could not, maybe they won't step up. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know.
Yeah. And what happens if they don't, right? I mean, what happens if we don't raise the money? Maddie's not going to put it up himself.
Right.
And does the lawyer need to be paid before he even starts?
I'm sure at least a good sum.
A good retainer, right? Something to get started with. So yeah, I mean, this is already Wednesday, he's got 6 days pretty much, or I guess probably 2 or 3 days to collect the money so that this person can get working on it. Again, it's very last minute and it sucks.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I mean, like, I didn't even know about this. I don't know how many people did or how long it was. I mean, for this to kind of come out of nowhere that this is happening on Tuesday. But anybody that steps up to contribute to that, and if they can get it done, I think that's amazing. I get it though. I get where Briz was coming from last night. I get where you're coming from tonight, Ewok, about saying like, who cares about this non-issue or whatever. But I mean, we're not doing any work. I mean, it's Maddie just asking to pull some money together to have
Yeah.
somebody enter an amicus brief. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be better for this to just be squashed or at the very least contested in some way, if
Sure.
it isn't already.
I get that.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.